welcome to Grandma's How To's again. I thought today we'll show you how to do can some green beans. I have a lot in my garden, and so the first thing you do is you go to that garden and pick them all, and then you take just this end off, and you wash them real good, and then you get them to this part. Okay, then you cut them up into 2-inch pieces, and I like to raw pack my jars instead of hot pack because then you don't have to hurry so much. So I fill the jar about that full, and then in each jar I take about 1 teaspoon of canning salt. Whoops, can't get it very good here. And just put 1 teaspoon in each. Okay, and it's a canning salt. Sometimes if you use regular salt, it might have a white, milky look to it. Okay, so before I do all that, I make sure I wash my jars good, check for any cracks or chips, because if there's a chip in there, it won't seal. And then I take and I put them in boiling water and sterilize them good before I fill them with beans. And then I go from there. And I get my lids all ready. I like to use Kerr or Ball lids, not the cheap ones, because if you're going to put them in a pressure canner, which you have to with green beans because they don't have acid, then you need to have good lids. Okay, so once I won't do the whole process because it takes too long, but I get some nice hot water going, boiling water, and I can take my time, get all these ready. And each canner load fits about 7 quart jars. You can't mix quart jars with pint jars if you're going to do them in the pressure canner because you want them all to cook at the same time. So I make sure I have all quarts, and that does a green bean casserole in the winter time when I want it. That's about the size. So once I get the salt in there, then I fill it within, say, 1 inch from the top with hot water. Put the lid on securely, but not super tight, just nice and firm. And then what I do is get 2 inches of water in my pressure canner, about 2 to 3 inches of water. You get that going, and then you put the first shelf in. Now, since I'm doing quarts, I don't need 2 shelves. But then you just set them in that nice hot water, and you can put, I think there's 7 that fit in there, 5 or 7. Now if I were to do pints, I could put a second shelf in there, but there wouldn't be room. So then you get that water going. There's a rubber gasket here, and you have to make sure that it fits on there. There's a little certain way. Okay, then you tighten it, and you let that steam for about 10 minutes. You'll see the steam coming out of there. A nice even steam. Then in our location, I think it's under 2,000 feet, you use 10 pounds of pressure. And on this little gauge, there's 3, 15, 5, 10. Once that steams for about 10 minutes, stick that on there. Then when this comes to a boil and it just has a nice little chatter, it'll go like this, evenly, not real fast. Just get it at a nice even little speed, and you adjust your heat accordingly. If it's going too fast, turn that heat down a little bit. Okay, then you cook them for 20 minutes on this pressure. It says in the book 25 for quarts, but I let it slowly go down for a long time because I don't want, it's like a time bomb in there. So I just let this cool down till this little throttle stops moving around. Okay, and then you just let it simmer down for a while. Then when it's time, when there no more movement, take a pot holder, because this is hot, and you get your arm away. Let that steam escape. When it is no longer any noise, all the steam's gone, then and it won't let you in here if it's too hot yet. As soon as it's cooled down enough, it'll allow you to open this lid again. Okay, so then you don't ever touch a jar in there because they cooked. I mean, it's hot. So then you very carefully take your little canning pincher and you set it to the side. But don't bump it on a lot of things because you could, it's a lot of pressure in there. So that is pretty much how you do the green beans. And because they don't have acid, you really need to do them in the pressure canner. Unless you're going to make them sweet sour like with a vinegar, then you can do them in a water bath. Later we're going to do peaches, and then that's the water bath system. So anyway, I guess a couple things is I like the wide mouth lids or jars the best because they're just easier to put things into. And oh, let's see, what else? Oh, and I already told you it's all the same size. And a long time ago when I had one, we had talked about the gauges and the weights. This is a weight system, and there's also a gauge that you can, some pressure canners have the gauge, and it has, and that you need to have checked by the home extension office once in a while to make sure it's working correctly. Okay, so a lot of times my favorite way to make green beans is to do the bacon dressing with the, you just take bacon and onions and fry them up a little and put a little bit of like a tablespoon of flour, and then you add water, about a cup, and then you add a little sugar and vinegar, equal parts, maybe a quarter cup each, and then that's this nice little, almost like a German potato salad topping, and I pour it over my green beans, and they're delicious. That's kind of my favorite recipe with green beans. Okay, so I think that's it on the green beans, and then we'll do a little thing on peaches in a minute. And I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye.